What if I told you that the most surprising Hollywood comeback of the decade didn't even happen in Hollywood? And what if I also told you that Johnny Depp, the man so many people believed was finished, cancelled, or pushed aside, created his strongest redemption arc thousands of miles away, in the heart of Tokyo? It sounds unbelievable at first, but the moment you start looking a little closer, the whole story becomes something much deeper than a simple movie premiere or a fan event. It's emotional. It's personal. And honestly, it might be one of the most meaningful chapters Johnny Depp has ever written for himself. A lot of people have been following his ups and downs over the years. The court battles. The rumors. The heartbreak. The silence. The slow, careful return. Some people watched the story unfold on social media, others through the news, and many through pure curiosity. But no matter how you came across it, you're definitely not alone. Millions of people have been trying to understand what happened to him, what he went through, and why his return feels so different from the usual Hollywood comebacks. And that's where Japan enters the picture. Because Depp didn't just show up in Tokyo for a routine film event. He wasn't there just to shake hands, walk a red carpet, wave to fans, and leave. Something about this trip felt symbolic, like a quiet message to the world. You can even see it in his face if you watch his interviews or fan videos from Tokyo. There's a softness there, a kind of peace, maybe even relief. As if he had walked into a place where he didn't have to pretend, perform, defend himself, or carry the weight of his past. Tokyo didn't just welcome him, it embraced him. Gently. Warmly. Respectfully. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Johnny Depp never wanted a loud, explosive, dramatic return to the spotlight. He didn't want an over-the-top Hollywood-style redemption tour filled with big speeches or flashy PR campaigns. He didn't want to shout, "I'm back," to the world. Instead, he chose something different. Something softer. Something almost spiritual. He wanted a place where he could breathe again, think again, create again, and simply be himself. That place, surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, was Japan. People sometimes forget that Japan has always admired pure artistry more than gossip. They don't obsess over drama the way Hollywood sometimes does. They don't chase scandals. They don't punish vulnerability. They value effort, discipline, reinvention, humility, and transformation, qualities Depp has been forced to develop during some of the most painful years of his life. So when he walked into Tokyo for the Modi premiere, the atmosphere around him felt completely different from what we usually see in the West. It wasn't noisy chaos. It wasn't tense or awkward. It wasn't people trying to grab him, criticize him, or push microphones into his face for a controversial quote. It was calm. Organized. Heartfelt. Fans smiled softly. They bowed. They welcomed him like a warrior who had survived a long, exhausting war and deserved a peaceful homecoming. For a man who spent years being torn apart in the headlines, laughed at online, doubted by strangers, and judged by an industry he gave his whole life to, that kind of welcome hits in a way most of us can't fully understand. But it wasn't just the fans who made Tokyo feel different. Japan has been special to Depp for a long time. He has mentioned in interviews over the years that he feels a unique sense of peace there. A calmness he rarely finds anywhere else. In Japan, he can walk into a music store and browse guitars without being surrounded. He can sit quietly in a cafe without cameras flashing every few seconds. He can wander the streets, admire the city lights, sip tea in a small shop, or blend into the crowd like a regular human being rather than a Hollywood headline. And maybe that's the real core of this story. Japan lets him be Johnny. Not the celebrity. Not the controversy. Not the court case. Not the character. Just Johnny. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. Japan supported him quietly during moments when Hollywood didn't know what to do with him. While studios hesitated. Japan didn't distance itself. Fans still wrote letters. Brands still invited him. There was no panic about losing image or reputation. Instead, there was patience. Respect. A kind of loyalty that isn't loud but is incredibly powerful. And because of that, many people are now realizing something important. Depp's comeback didn't start in America, it started in Europe and Asia. The Modi project itself is a perfect example. It's not a flashy blockbuster. It's not a big-budget Hollywood machine. It's an artistic film with emotional depth, pain, resilience, and reinvention, exactly what Depp has been experiencing in real life. So when he chose Tokyo as one of his major stops, it wasn't just a promotional trip. It wasn't an obligation. It was a message. A quiet but powerful message that says, I don't need Hollywood's approval to rise again. I can rebuild my life anywhere I choose. I can start fresh where people see me as a human being, not a headline. And honestly, that message hit the internet harder than anyone expected. His Tokyo appearance went viral almost instantly. People from all over the world saw him smiling, greeting fans, interacting kindly, and looking healthier and happier. They saw a man who had been broken, rebuilding himself far away from the noise that once swallowed him whole. The reaction wasn't just about celebrity gossip. It was emotional. People felt connected to him again. They felt protective. They felt proud. Some even said it finally felt like the real Johnny had returned after years of being hidden behind pain and chaos. Now let's talk about some of the lesser-known details that make this entire story even richer. Insiders have shared that Depp personally requested Tokyo as a major stop on his Modi tour. Not because it was the biggest market, but because he wanted to honor the people who supported him without requiring anything in return. He wanted to show gratitude to a country that stood by him when the world was unsure. A Japanese journalist also mentioned that Depp has been quietly working on deeper artistic collaborations in Japan. Not just film-related, but musical and possibly even tied to artistic exhibitions. Something long-term. Something meaningful. Something that lets him explore his creativity without judgment or pressure. And here's another piece of the puzzle. Many experts believe Japan represents something emotional for him. A kind of reset button. A sanctuary. A place where he can rebuild his career from the ground up without the noise and contradictions of Hollywood. A place where he can design a future that reflects him, not the expectations of an industry that once turned its back on him. But the whispers don't end there. There are rumors, very persistent ones, that Depp has already recorded an interview where he talks openly about why he feels so connected to Japan, why he chose this moment to return, and what this new chapter means for his personal and professional life. Some people say the interview is already edited and ready. Others say it's part of a bigger reveal he's planning, something connected to his long-term artistic vision. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear, something big is coming. And Japan is the emotional center of that comeback. Watching him in Tokyo, you can sense that he's not trying to reclaim his old throne. He's building a new one. One that doesn't rely on Hollywood producers or studio politics. One that isn't controlled by public opinion or media drama. One that grows from genuine human connection, quiet creativity, and the simple joy of being understood. That's why this Tokyo takeover feels so powerful. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't a PR spectacle. It was calm. It was human. It was healing. A man who was wounded found a place that helped him feel whole again. A man who was silenced found a city that let him speak without saying a word. A man who felt exiled found a place that welcomed him like he had never left. And that's the beauty of this moment. It's not about fame. It's not about controversy. It's not even about Hollywood. It's about a person who walked through fire, survived it, learned from it, and chose to rise again in a place that offered him peace instead of pressure. Now here's where you come in. Do you think Johnny Depp's future belongs outside of Hollywood? Do you think Japan is the perfect place for him to rebuild, reinvent, and grow into this new version of himself? Or do you see him eventually returning to Hollywood but on his own terms? I would really love to hear your thoughts, because everyone seems to have a different perspective on this chapter of his life. Some fans believe he'll stay away from Hollywood forever. Others think he'll return once the industry realizes how much they lost. And many believe he might build a completely new artistic revolution outside the US. Whatever your thoughts are, share them in the comments. I read them all, and your voice genuinely helps shape the next discussions we'll dive into. If you enjoyed this deep dive and felt something while listening, there's another video you absolutely shouldn't miss, one where we go inside Depp's creative world and talk about the unseen woman who's been quietly running his empire behind the scenes. That story will open your eyes in a whole new way. And of course, if this narration made you feel connected, inspired, or curious, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and join our community. It truly helps keep stories like this alive and encourages more people to understand the human side of these celebrities we often see only through headlines. Thanks for spending this time with me. Johnny Depp's Tokyo moment wasn't just a red carpet appearance. It wasn't just a movie promotion. It was a rebirth. A reset. A quiet victory. And it's only the beginning.